In the heart of Jerusalem, atop the holiest site in Christianity, there stands a small, weather-worn rooftop monastery. It is guarded not by walls, but by faith. Here, the last visible Black Christian presence in the Holy Land fights to survive. For nearly 2,000 years, Ethiopian monks have held sacred ground within the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. They have faced wars, plagues, political betrayal, and even racism within the church itself. Yet, they remain. This is the story of Deir Sultan, a story of faith, injustice, Black identity, and a forgotten struggle in one of the world's most sacred places. Ethiopia's spiritual link to Jerusalem runs deeper than most realize. While the Queen of Sheba's visit to King Solomon in 1 Kings 10 is often cited, it's the New Testament that marks Ethiopia's most profound entrance into Christian history. Acts 8 tells the story of the Ethiopian Eunuch, an African official of Queen Candace. On a dusty road from Jerusalem, he met the Apostle Philip. They read Scripture. They talked about Jesus. And there, in the wilderness, he became the first recorded baptized Christian in the New Testament. That baptism wasn't just personal, it was prophetic. It symbolized the beginning of Africa's embrace of Christianity. And from that seed, the Ethiopian church would blossom. And so, centuries before most of Europe even heard of the gospel, Ethiopians were already praying in Jerusalem. Deir Sultan, Arabic for the monastery of the Sultan. It rests directly above the chapel of St. Helena, part of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the very place believed to be Jesus' tomb. For over 1,000 years, Ethiopians worshipped here, cared for chapels, hosted pilgrims, and kept vigil over sacred relics. Their presence was affirmed by sultans, caliphs, and kings. Yet, power shifts, empires fall, and faith communities fight for scraps of stone. By the 19th century, the Ethiopian monks had lost almost all of their chapels inside the church. Their keys were seized, their records burned, their rights stripped. The Ethiopian monks were pushed onto the rooftop. There, in sun-scorched, rain-leaking huts, they lived, surrounded by political storms. The Egyptian Coptic Church claimed ownership of Deir Sultan, backed by changing rulers: Ottoman, British, Jordanian, Israeli. In 1970, the Israeli government handed the keys to the Ethiopians. But a year later, Israel's High Court ruled in favor of the Copts. The government refused to enforce it, calling it a political matter. And so, it dragged on, with Ethiopians barred from chapels, locked inside at night, even denied the right to mourn their dead. In 2002, a Coptic priest invaded the Ethiopian rooftop space. A chair under a tree, a defiance of status quo. Fights broke out. Monks were injured. Police were called. All this over a rooftop. But to these monks, it is not just a rooftop. It is the last piece of sacred ground they call their own. This is not just a territorial dispute. It is a story about the only Black Christian presence in the holiest site of Christianity. For centuries, Ethiopia stood as a symbol of Black sovereignty and spiritual power, a beacon for enslaved Africans, a name invoked in gospel songs, liberation prayers, and freedom dreams. Deir Sultan is not just about land. It is about memory, dignity, and the survival of a people's prayer. Yet today, most of the Black world has never heard of it. No headlines. No global protests, just silence. And as long as the hymn echoes from Deir Sultan's rooftop, the hands of Ethiopia will still stretch toward God. Share this story. Talk about it in your churches, your schools, your communities. Visit. Write. Protest if you must. Because this rooftop is more than a space. It is the soul of a legacy. This story must be told. Deir Sultan must not be forgotten. If we speak of justice, we must remember the monks on the rooftop, singing hymns, enduring heat, holding fast. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. Let's meet on another episode. Until then, stay healthy.